Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Hasbro, and we have more proof now that they have no interest in being a toy company anymore. They don't even want to be a movie company anymore. Hasbro wants to be a video game company.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that. They have some new leadership, and this does not surprise me at all because most of the people in charge over at Hasbro, including their CEO, including the head honcho over at Wizards, it came from Microsoft. It came from video games. Now they seemingly want to pivot this company in a totally different direction that I personally do not agree with. I don't think they're going to do very well, but we'll see.
Is that why we're getting shitty toys? Because they're taking all the money that should have gone to the toys and they're pivoting it to other places, and then they're charging ridiculous amount of money for the toys?
I'm kind of wondering because, we're seeing actually PowerCon, we went last weekend and it's showing a huge light on Hasbro's deficiencies in toy making, because I'm looking at like the Valaverse figures compared to the G.I. Joe Classified, at least the new G.I. Joe Classified figures, and I'm like, they're actually interested in putting out good product, where Hasbro just like, slap some paint on it, some paint, hopefully it stays together, throw it in a box and sell it for 3 times as much.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Is what it's actually worth. And but yeah, it seems like they're basically using toys to bankroll this idea that this is going to be a video game company. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo. A woohoo from Geeky. So before I get into Hasbro's leadership change, and this is coming after they sold off E1, which was their movie division, the Hollywood Reporter points out that one Barbie movie made more money than like all of Hasbro's recent movies together combined. They said that they're really striking out. Dungeons and Dragons was a bomb.
Yeah.
Rise of the Beast was meh. It was okay, but it didn't do really well. But they sold off E1, which produced both of those movies, and they started that sale like last year. So I think they knew they weren't going to be a big hit.
Well, they try to get rid of it. They're offloading it. So
yeah,
they offloaded it past tense. So,
and I think the reason, and they sold the Lionsgate for a fraction of what they paid like almost $4 billion for it, and they sold the Lionsgate for like $500 million.
That's just crazy.
So they just lost all kinds of money. But now they've got this
they could have put that money into making better toys.
They could, but they don't care about toys. I mean,
no, that's just it. That's why they're going to fail. Because they forget what everybody associates Hasbro with toys.
Yeah, and they just want to be an IP for them. They want to be a Disney, but they also want to be a video game company.
I mean, they have a couple things that are worth IP farming, but most of their stuff isn't.
No, and a lot of the stuff that they're farming was, well, one, the only reason they had those IP in the first place is that they were toys first.
Right.
But like even Transformers, that wasn't theirs. Dungeons and Dragons, that was Takara's, and they just rebranded it and came up. Marvel actually came up with a whole storyline behind Transformers. So it wasn't even Hasbro's story. It was Marvel came up with the names and the initial storyline, all that. And then same with G.I. Joe. It was like Hasbro's like, we want to bring G.I. Joe back, but we need a story. And it was Marvel Comics that came up with that whole thing, made these characters.
The animation companies they hired, like Filmation was Mattel and stuff like that, but the ones that they hired to do the shows, I think, is ones who came up with the stories that we know. Yeah,
because back then it used to be Mattel and Hasbro and Kenner and all these. They knew their place. Basically, we're a toy company. We need a show or a movie to sell our toys. But they're betting heavy on Dungeons and Dragons, and that was something they bought too. It wasn't actually theirs.
So now we're just getting acquired leftovers.
It's just like Disney. They're going to fail just like Disney. So Hasbro unveils leadership for Content Studio post Entertainment One sale. So they sold off, and they got these 3 guys in charge.
Not women?
Not women, no.
What, have the potato people taught us nothing?
The potato persons. Potato Persons United.
Yes, I mean, come on.
But this is what was interesting. This is what stuck out to me because, we've been talking a lot about Hasbro and the decline in quality of their toys. They said, unveiling the new leadership team for the division follows Hasbro selling E1 to Lionsgate for $500 million. Again, a fraction of what they paid for it. To focus on branded assets like Peppa Pig. Again, not their IP. Transformers, not really theirs technically, and Dungeons and Dragons, as it looks to become a digital game giant. So that's it. So now they're noping out of movies. They noped out
because they all bombed. It didn't work for them.
They noped out of toys a long time ago, right? So this does explain a lot, I think, because we have seen ever since Chris Cox took over, we've seen a massive decline in the quality of the toys.
Okay, but with massive price hikes. We were talking about the Boba Fett the other day, and about being on the shelf for like $34 or $35. for the Black Series figure, and people are like, "Well, you know, that's like $10 more than the other Black Series figure, so maybe it was something. Maybe it was in the wrong peg." No, I went back and checked. It's right. It's $35 for that one. The other Black Series figures are $25.
Yeah, the prices are ridiculous right now. They're charging, and what used to get you like a standard toy like $10, now you get like the dollar store.
Well, now you
toys.
get like the accessories.
Yeah.
For it's like $8 for like 2 little pieces that turn into weapons that were the accessories before.
Yeah, that would have actually just come with the figure, right?
Right.
So under CEO Chris Cox, Hasbro has turned its focus to becoming a digital gaming powerhouse as it looks to reinvest in fewer, more profitable properties and to do so with outside partners to reduce production costs and risks.
Oh, like ESPN.
Yeah, right. But it also explains why, like, Basic Fun did the Celestial Ponies.
Which I did get, by the way. Yay, I finally got them. Yay.
Those of you who don't know, I'm sure a lot of people that listen to our channel don't know, the Celestial Ponies were some unproduced prototypes that they made back in the 80s or early 90s for My Little Pony. They never produced them. So for the 40th anniversary, Basic Fun, an actual toy company, produced these ponies that collectors have wanted for years.
And the prices aren't bad. They're like, they were on Amazon for like $15 each.
Yeah.
Which wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad at all. And
right, so they're big too.
They are the boxes. Yeah, the boxes.
Yeah, and they're really cool. And they're reasonably priced because another company just basically took the license and made good quality, nice toys for an affordable price. Because Hasbro sure as hell forgot how to do that.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going on here. I think we're seeing more being outsourced to Super 7. We're seeing, Basic Fun picking up the slack. So I'm like, is there going to come a day when Hasbro doesn't even make toys? Like, I'm really starting to think that that's their end game.
They're just going to license out all the properties to toy manufacturers, like or smaller ones like Jakks Pacific or Basic Fun or these smaller
Spin Master or something like that.
Spin Master, yeah.
Like, do you guys want to make G.I. Joe figures? Yeah, we don't really care anymore. Oh my God, wouldn't the kicker be if like Valiverse started making the G.I. Joe figures under license? Because he used to work for Hasbro, I guess.
That would be funny.
But yeah, it's just like they don't seem to care. They don't care about making toys. That's sad.
And that's what they came from. And that's what's like when people think Hasbro, let's be honest, first thing you think of is toys. You don't think of we're gonna do games and movies,
Yeah. But their toys are shit. So collectors, and you kind of get this when you go to something like PowerCon, collectors are going for the off-brand stuff, the licensed stuff. There was a lot of buzz around Super 7 because they had, G.I. Joe figures and Thundercats and stuff like that. But again,
they had some amazing things.
All stuff is getting licensed out.
Mondo had some great stuff too. Mondo.
Oh, Mondo. Yeah, Mondo. Yeah, the giant, the Masters of the Universe $250 figures, but they were great. But now they're bought by Funko, so I'm like, and Funko's not doing very well. I'm like, God, I hope it doesn't affect Mondo at all. But so I don't know what's going to happen. But I think bringing this back to D&D, they keep saying they want to turn D&D into a video game, into a digital product. Everything. It just seems like this is what they want to do, and it's because they have a freaking video game guy in charge of Hasbro.
I mean, Dick Wood. I mean, Cox. Sorry,
Cox and his sidekick Dick Wood. Is that what you said?
No, a Dick Wood. And I said, no, I'm sorry, not Dick Cox.
I just don't understand why or how this, like, why would you bring somebody into a toy company and say, you know what, we're not going to be a toy company
anymore. Get it either.
We're going to do video games. Because they tried video games before and they failed at it. They had I remember back in the 90s, they were doing like shitty Frogger games and stuff like that because they had the IP for it. They cannot do video games well. Even D&D, they're outsourcing it to other people. But
if they do D&D and they want to turn D&D into video games and things like, I guess I kind of can see it for that. They want to do that. That's one thing, and have the tabletop in the video games. But I don't see why you would completely shit on your toy line, where you came from, to do that. They're not going to innovate anything. Basically, they're just going to go out and make video games with the stuff they have.
Yeah,
and that's just dumb. I don't understand. Where I can see you could do it for D&D or a couple other properties. You can make Transformers. You can make it probably a game, things like that. But I don't see why you would cut off your nose to spite your face. Why would you do that and then not do the other thing? You can do both.
Yeah, I don't get that either. It just seems like they don't want to bother. I mean, he even said before directly, Chris Cox said when asked if a recent write-down of the D&D movie had caused a setback to the company's plans to greatly expand Wizards of the Coast business profitability, he said, "I would say the underlying thesis of our D&D business is all about digital. To us, entertainment was just the kicker.
But yeah, it's basically what they're saying. We're going to go all in on digital shit, and then, you know, the other stuff, oh, well.
Yeah, he wants to transform.
Well, good luck with that, because it's working so well for everybody else. See Disney.
Yeah, it is. It is. We want to be something. We basically want to be everything but what
we're known for.
What we're known for. Disney wanted to be everything but family entertainment and animation.
No, they still say they're family entertainment. I would beg to differ.
Yeah, I don't think they are. But yeah, they said they want to transform tabletop gaming into digital. And I told people this was going to happen. I said, like 2 years ago, I said they're going to probably try to turn D&D into some shitty mobile app. And then the weird thing is during the pandemic, they actually had their best year ever for book sales.
Right, because people couldn't leave their houses. And they were like, even like you'd go on like a Zoom call with your friends and you still run a campaign.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have to be together to do it. And the thing is, like, you could do both. You can make video games and still do tabletop, but they're not saying that. That's what worries me, is they're not saying you can do both.
No, and I think what might actually happen, even with D&D, I think at some point I could totally see them being like, okay, well, we own D&D and we own Magic the Gathering, but we don't need to actually produce the cards or the books ourselves. We'll just outsource that to somebody else. You know, Ravensburger.
Then it gets AI art, and then they get backlash. And
well. They're integrating this into their game mechanics now too, so that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, but when they're using AI art and AI generated game mechanics now for their board games, it just tells me that they're just noping out of this. Like, they don't care anymore, and it's so sad when you watch documentaries like we watch The Toys That Made Us. And we watch, Toys That Build America and all these shows. And you see what went into creating these toy lines in the first place and all the hurdles they had to get through. And it's just going to be, like, discarded. Like, the think tanks that they had at Mattel and Hasbro back in the day, 80s and 90s, coming up with new stuff all the time. And now they just don't care. They're not going to make anything new.
Let's run it through an AI.
Run it through an AI, yeah.
Make us something creative that does this, this, and this. We want something similar to this, this, and this. Go.
Yeah, pretty much. So all the innovation is going to come from, I think, independent toy companies or, third parties or whatever. They just don't care. They don't care anymore.
Well, it's not going to probably work out very well for them.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to crash and burn. But, good luck with that. And then they'll just sell it off to some Chinese company.
Well, I'm so glad that Hasbro was just doubling, tripling down on their diversity. I know, right? Like, they kept making a big deal about it. We had to make stupid changes to toys and stuff for diversity and inclusion. They had to change Clue and add a bunch of new characters or change characters for diversity and inclusion. And then and then we have three dudes running everything. So, hey, the film and TV divisions.
Well, it is diverse because this guy doesn't have glasses.
Oh, so there you go, I guess, yeah. So basically lip service, which we already knew.
Yes, absolutely. So are we going to wrap this up?
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.